What button do you press to go to the next slide when it's time?
I like to press enter.
Okay, is that what makes it go?
Do it.
You can match those arrows on the side.
And then I like to press
Okay.
the P button for backwards because there's too many errors on that keyboard up there. It gets me confused.
Don't make it the way they used to.
I press the enter button and the P button.
Alright.
Alright, we are ready when you are.
Alright, so I'm Kyle Gabbridge, and my story was The Elephant in the Classroom, Helping Children Learn and Love Math, and it was by Joe Bowler, who who my research was going to focus towards. And this story was basically Joe Bowler's research on how classrooms are too stuck in a traditional way where the teacher's just teaching the lesson their way, how they learned it, and the students are memorizing it. And then when they see it in the later test, it's not the same way, so they're not doing it as well. They're not seeing it at a different perspective. So about Joe Bowler, she was born January 1st, 1964 in England in the United Kingdom. Before she actually came to the United States, she was a teacher in London, a high school teacher. And while she was there, she was the Marie Curie Professor of Mathematics Education in England. Currently, she works at Stanford University, where she is the Professor of Mathematics Education. And she is the CEO and co-founder of UCube.org. That is a website where parents, students, and teachers are able to go and get resources for their classroom and for their children. And she is very involved in her research and visits to schools. The one thing that interested me was how she followed the students into adulthood. So they started following them in middle school and high school, but she also saw where it took them later in life, and if the things they learned in high school, if they would have learned more and thought about the smaller things, if it would have helped them once they got there. So her philosophy, her approach involves a less traditional memorization. Instead, lessons focus on different ways to solve problems, individualized approaches, small group discussion, and real-life applications of math, exploring the questions in different aspects and using puzzles, graphs, and pictures. So we all know math already is a boring subject, don't lie, but if your teacher was able to show you it in a game or an activity, or show you pictures and graphs, you'd be a little bit more interested in it. You'd see how it could adapt to your life, figure out in your own way. And that's what one thing she really pushed for, was using group discussion, let the students teach students. Because sometimes you might not understand what a teacher's saying because they're saying all these big words. But if you have one of your students kind of, hate to say it, but dumb it down for you, you're understanding it more. And one thing she really didn't like was level groups, which is dividing students up when they were younger on if they were good at math or if they are not. And I never actually saw it happen, but I saw she talked about how some teachers would give some students harder work and some students easier work because those students weren't as smart as the others, which I really didn't agree with either, because if you want a student to achieve more, give them the same work and let them challenge themselves to do better. So the name, The Elephant in the Classroom, the elephant, or the common idea that is extremely harmful to children, is the belief that success in math is a sign of general intelligence, that some people can do math and some people can't. Teachers think their main goal in younger grades is to find out who is good at math and who is worse. So this is just kind of talking about, it's saying that if you were good at math, you're going to be more successful in life, but if you're bad in math, you weren't. What more that she pushes for is, it's your teachers who are not making you more intelligent. They're not teaching to your way of learning, because we're all different, we all learn in different ways. So that's really where the name came from. And these next two slides, I'm going to talk about some schooling methods that she went and saw, and then another one is a grading method that she actually helped with research. So these schooling methods, Phoenix Park High School and Amber Hill High School, they actually took a test after the research was done to see who was actually doing better. So Phoenix Park High School, before she went to the classroom, she went to their lunch and talked to them. Said, what am I going to expect whenever I go in this classroom? The students said chaotic and freedom. Well, when she goes in this classroom, these students, they are doing a 3-week project. That's what they do every time. And the teacher before, if there's any questions, he'll go over what the main goal is of this project and what they need to do, like the requirements, the rubric. Well, then these students are left to figure it out on their own, teach themselves, see their own aspect of it, look at the problem in a different way, because we all look at problems different ways. And then at Amber Hill High School, the teacher was very traditional. When asked before class, just like at Phoenix, the students said very quiet, not much discussion. She said the only time these students talked to each other were to say, what did you get for this problem, what did you get for this problem? which there's no discussion on how to actually do it. They're just checking yes or no if they got it right or not. So once these two schools took a test at the end of the semester to see which way was working best, the Phoenix Park High School scored much higher and was much more efficient in their learning style. Then Railside High School was a traditional high school but changed. When she was there, in the beginning of the semester, she asked the student, "What do you think about your teacher's style?" He said, "I love it. I love it that she shows us how to do the work her way, and then we just memorize how to do it the rest." Well, when the test came around, she went to the same student. He had an F on his paper. The teacher changed the words up to a different way of the student looking at it, and he got an F and was very sad. She asked, "Why do you think this is?" He said, "I wasn't able to think about the question in another aspect. I wasn't able to see it in different ways." Where this teacher was just, the teacher before was just, what's my word? Doing it her way, and the students were getting used to it. And then once these teachers started seeing this, they decided they need to do something different. So they started with their algebra curriculum and they broke it down, they redid it. Where the students started learning more and putting more projects, math discussion, more ways where they had more hands-on activities, and they started seeing the grades improve, and they actually went through and redid all their math curriculum and actually spread to 3 more high schools because they saw the success of it. And then a guy named Ruth Butler, who did research on ways students were graded, they talked about this in the book. They took 3 groups of students in the same class, some with comments, some with just grades, and some with grades and comments. Well, the students that were getting comments for whenever they got graded, the comments were just saying what they did good, what they did bad, and what they can improve on. So the students really didn't know what their actual grade was, but they're seeing that they need to keep pushing effort to do better and better. And the students who were just getting grades, you get a B, you might be happy with a B. You want to be a B student your whole life, that's fine. So they're not going to push themselves to do better. The teacher's not telling them how to do more. And the student whose grades and comments are sort of getting a combination of both. So once these students went through and they did all this, they did tests at the end, the students who just got the comments, they actually did better on their tests than the students who got the grades and grade comments. So I thought that was really interesting on how if you just comment and communicate with your students on how to do better, that they actually will do better. One thing she did was assessment for learning. The main focus of this is students have a full and clear sense of what they are learning and how to propel them to be more successful. So this has 3 parts. The first part was where students are now, where students need to be, and ways to close the gap. For the first one, communicate with students and past teachers on where they go. In the beginning of the semester, they talk to your students on which the best way they can learn. So if you're just doing a traditional style, you're not reaching all those students who have different learning styles. You're just doing visual. You're not going to reach that student who's a hands-on learner. They need to build it with the blocks or do the experiments. And then where they need to be. In the beginning of the semester, make sure you give them a syllabus she talked about so that they see if they build on each thing that they will be successful all the way through. And it's just the whole success path all the way through the course. And then ways to close gap, give students advice on how to be more successful. Show them where they'll use these things in real life. Use real life problems. Use jobs that they might be interested in, and how these simple things that we teach will help them get there and remember them. And then the standard I choose is Intact Standard 6 Assessment. The teacher understands and uses multiple methods of assessment to engage learners in their own growth, to monitor their progress, and to guide the teachers' and learners' decision making. I think the first thing is really what Joe Bowler stood for. The teacher understands and uses multiple methods and engage learners in their own growth. It's just using different ways instead of just the traditional way, where you can reach all the students, because not all students are going to be the same. And then so last semester I took my Methods 2 class, and I was in a class at Starkville High. I went and saw the teacher about 60 hours that semester, and each day he would do his lesson, give a worksheet, and that's all they did today. And that was it. And the students during the lesson they would talk because it was boring. He stood up there, wrote like this, and just talked to the board. He never looked at them, engaged in what they were actually getting from the lesson. And some days they just go and he give them a worksheet, and that's all they do. He wouldn't talk to them really at all the whole class. And if they get it done, they get it done. If they don't, they don't. Well, I actually got to teach some with them, and we just did a simple project. Folded a piece of paper 3 ways, wrote the best ways they understood it and the ways that it said in the book. And it was just talking about parallel, perpendicular, and coinciding lines. We made graphs in the papers. We made rules. And then the next time they actually did that work, they are actually using it and they're helping each other, talking with their other students on which way they thought it was best to learn it. So I thought that was really neat, and I touched them quicker than the other teacher was because he wasn't really like teaching to them. He was just teaching to the board and to his test. And then ways to connect it to math classroom. That's my concentration is math. Is don't be a traditional style teacher. Even though I know sometimes you have to be that, but talk to the students. Don't talk to the board. Don't teach to your test. Talk to them and see how they are understanding it. And that's also touching the second one, learning styles. Use different learning styles on how they'll best learn it. And I feel like the next two are really important for some students because some students, they won't go to college or to a vocational school. They'll get straight out of high school and need to start working for family purposes or for different reasons. And you can make connections to real world situations and connections to future jobs. Show them that they need these basic concepts in English or math. In English, you need to show them that they can, these basic language skills, that they're going to communicate with their boss, communicate with customers, that if they can't talk right, they're not going to get a job to talk to these people. That they're not going to be able to be successful in that and they'll get fired. Just have basic levels for them to do. And then don't have level groups, don't split your class up, don't give a student easy work or hard work. And then get parents involved. She talked about this a little bit, about the more involvement you can get from your parents, the better your students will do. Saw research in another class that talked about the more involvement you have, the more success your students will have. So ways to do that, you could be sending home papers explaining the work to the parents, send emails. And I know some parents won't be involved in their students' lives, so us as teachers, we could be that parent figure for them, help them after class, help them before school, give them ideas on how to be more successful. And then this is my resources.
Blah, blah, blah.